Hey guys, this is AwesomeJohn22 coming in today with another review. Today we are taking a look at one of my favorite figures based on one of my favorite characters from Transformers 4. Transformers, Age of Extinction, Voyager class Bulk... Sorry, what I meant to say was Age of Extinction, Voyager class Bulkhead. Crap! Sorry, one more time. Let me try this again. This is Voyager class, Age of Extinction, Bulk... Guys, I apologize, but seriously, this guy looks like Bulkhead. I'm not just making this up. In all seriousness, this is Transformers Age of Extinction Hound. I mean to say Hound. This is Voyager class Hound. And this is exactly why I don't plan on saying his name very often during this review. And why I pretty much guarantee that I'm going to say his name incorrectly at least once, completely legitimately. You can see here we have Bulkhead. As you can see here, we have Hound without any of his weapons. He does come with a lot of weapons. Big, giant, triple-barrel Gatling gun. These kind of three-barrel guns with fold-up handles. These, I don't know, they almost look like flamethrowers, maybe. And these little pistols. He gets, two of each of these things, and a knife, which I have in his hand because it's supposed to peg into his chest in standby mode, but the peg was broken off in the box. And while I do plan on trying to glue that back in, if that happens to fail, I may be contacting Hasbro to see if there's anything that can be done about that, because I find such a thing completely unacceptable. Oh, my camera. Absolutely ridiculous to think that in this day and age, toys should be packaged in a way that they come not just damaged, but outright broken. He's broken. But that is a whole other thing. His knife, let's take a look at that real quick, is the only one of his weapons that is silver, and you can see where the peg broke off right there. The only one of his weapons that's actually in silver paint. Bulkhead himself, Hound himself, looks quite nice. He is not exactly like his on-screen counterpart. There's a third-party upgrade kit that actually helps with that, which I do plan on getting at some point, and once I do, I will do an update video showing that off a little bit. But overall, he looks quite good. I'm not going to bother showing you his weapons right now. We'll get to that after we have started the review proper by getting this guy transformed up through the magic of jump cuts. And here we have Hound in his vehicle mode, and hey, I actually said his name right this time. And don't worry, I am going to show off what his weapons can do in this mode, but first I'm going to take a look at just the vehicle. And kind of like Slog that we talked about Sunday, this guy is too small. This is him next to a diesel-powered cabover. Just a standard, high-tech, diesel-powered cabover of standard size with a flat nose that you see on the road all the time. This thing is supposed to be this honking military transport vehicle. Like, almost just like Slog, this guy should be twice as big, if not bigger, than he is here. It's absolutely ridiculous to make it this small. It should have been at least a leader class. And considering how awesome Hound was in the movie, and here, now that I'm thinking about him in the actual movie, I'm getting his name right. Considering how awesome he was in the movie, I don't know why they couldn't justify making a leader class version of this figure. Kind of reminiscent of Bulkhead in animated and in Prime, but also kind of reminiscent of Ultra Magnus in animated. This guy looks really good. He's got all these really fantastic details on the front with this little logo here. You can see smokestacks over there. Let me put it this way. This front part right here should be as big as this part right here on Galvi. Let's just put it that way. This guy's way too small. The back section, some great molded detail, but not a whole lot of color here. Even when you get to the back where there's lights and whatnot, because for the most part you're not going to be looking at that part of the vehicle, because that's where the weapons go. What weapons actually do attach in this mode, which is not all of them, sadly. What we're going to do, if I can remember how to do this, it's a little weird. We're going to slide this whole section down like so, and then fold it like that. Bringing this up first. and fold it like that. And it will slot. You can see there's some slots there and some slots there and corresponding tabs. It will just, this is going to take a couple tries, slot right there, and it doesn't stay on super well, but it holds well enough. And down here, you're going to see these slots here and these pegs on the insides of these guns. They will just slot on like that. And on both sides. And coming to this side, we're going to take these two guns and fold them up like so. You will see slots on the guns there and tabs here. We will just slot those very long tabs, very wide tabs, into these very wide slots. And now he holds a good number of his weapons in this mode, and looks pretty freaking cool doing it, and he rolls very well with them, and they all stay on fairly well unless you bump them too hard. I'm trying to show it off, but it's not going to do it right now. There we go. There's an example. They do pop off if you are a little too rough with the vehicle. For the most part, they stay just fine. Sadly, I can't really find a really good way to store all of these weapons on here, so I just kind of set them off to the side for this version. And once again, here he is next to Galvatron with all of his weapons intact, showing you some scale between him and other Voyagers, and it's just appalling. It's the thing I like least about this figure, which, to be fair, there's not a whole lot of things I don't like about this figure, so that's not really saying much. Either way, transformation on this guy is very simple, but also quite interesting. First, we're going to go ahead and get the gun transformed back up the way it was, like so. And next we're going to come here and we're going to kind of just start loosening things up. There's a whole lot of tabs pegging into a whole lot of slots. We're just going to kind of loosen it all up, like so. And that'll give us all kinds of room to just pull things out, to fold this up like that, but not all the way yet, because I'm not sure if anything gets in the way of it, honestly. Next we're going to come down here, pop this out. That is his head. Just pop it out like so. Fold these in. And bring that down. And here's where we're going to bring the chest in. You can see there's a tab here and a slot right there. Just going to tab that in like so. Bring these up and they will peg in like so. Separate that. Rotate it around. Bring these over into the front if you prefer them that way, though I don't really because they get in the way of the arm movement. So bring it. So I'm going to leave it like so. Bring the camera up a little bit. Do that on the other side. Bring this down. Rotate this around. Now we're going to bring his whole waist section forward and rotate his feet into place, and Bulkhea and Hound is ready. He is fully transformed into his base robot mode without any of his guns, which it's still pretty cool looking. It's not as cool looking, but it's still pretty freaking cool. Great detail all over this guy. You can see he has gun belts on his arms. He has bullets in his beard. If he had his cigar here, it would be a giant shotgun shell. Great detail in the chest. Great gold copperiness there in those guns. He's got some silver in his waist, some silver in his knees. Overall, really nice color here. The vehicle mode didn't have a whole lot of colors. They were able to tongue-tied there for a second. They were able to dedicate a lot of the color allotted to this figure to this mode here, and it looks absolutely fantastic. This is a soft rubbery plastic here, so his forearms can actually flex a little bit, which is very, very cool. And overall, just a very cool, very dynamic looking figure. And it's a great representation of a really cool character in the movie who, yeah, it's pegged in right, it's fine. Who I think was probably the highlight of the movie, really. I mean, everyone else was cool, but this guy was just amazing. He can, of course, hold any of his weapons. And it looks really good holding each of them. Though, to be fair, these little pistols are kind of small. Just looks nifty. Very, very nifty. As I mentioned before, his knife would usually peg in there, but I can't do that. So what I like to do instead is slot it into his hand, which I'm missing his hand somehow. There we go. Slot it into his hand and just have him holding it like so. Every other weapon can attach somewhere. We can take this giant gun and peg it in there onto his back. These guns can peg into these slots, which I believe are the same slots they use in vehicle mode, if I'm not mistaken, and sit on his hips. These guns, and I don't like this at all, I want to point out, these guns peg in to these little round pegs under his arms via these tiny little tabs here. And I hate it. I absolutely hate this, which is why I like to keep at least one of them in his offhand as his initial firearm, like so. So that way I don't have to have both of them sitting under there. Okay, do you like that? And this is probably my favorite one. These little, like, handgun looking things. They come in at this angle like so, and they just kind of slot in like that. You can see they even peg in right there. And you can, of course, do that. And that's exactly why I don't like where these sit. Just going to leave it there. They can, of course, do that on both sides. And that was so much easier to get in than the other one. I have no idea why. And there you have him kind of sitting there all armed up, save this weapon here, which I'll go ahead and reattach it. And if I could find a better place to put this thing, I would. But that is literally the best place to put it. It's really the only place to put it. It was designed to be put there. It just doesn't like to stay. And it gets in the way of lowering his arm all the way, which, you know how I am about things getting in the way of good articulation. But yeah, that's Hound, yeah. That's Hound in his robot mode, all weaponed up. And I think he looks pretty fantastic. But anyone who knows anything about this figure will know that's not all that these weapons are good for. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to detach them, folding the handles back up into these two guns, and remove everything, including, I believe, his knife. I'm gonna have to kind of fumble my way through this because I've only done this once. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these and like that. Peg them in there. And peg the knife in the front. And we're going to take these weapons and we are going to peg them into these tabs here via the same peg slots we used for their storage in vehicle mode, or the same type anyway. And then we're going to take the pistols and we're just going to slot them in to the front of each of these guns. And now he has this giant BFG that he can't really hold very well because it comes apart pretty easily. And so if you try to pose it in any really dynamic ways, you'll have parts popping off of it. But he definitely looks very good carrying it. It looks very cool, very dynamic, and it's definitely something you could see this iteration of, I almost said Bulkhea again, this iteration of Hound using, and just looks great. For a size comparison, here you have him with Slog, and I'm using Slog simply because I realized when I was editing the Slog review that the lighting was really bad, and I'm not sure why, and I couldn't fix it. I couldn't get it to really look any better. So here we have Slog, so you can get kind of a better look at Slog, because that's just how monumentally incompetent I am. I don't know why anybody watches these at all. But yeah, very, very cool. And I mentioned it's one of my favorite figures from the line. I mentioned it's one of my favorite characters in the movie. So of course I'm going to wholeheartedly recommend this guy. If you see him, snatch him up. He's pretty rare. And definitely worth the pickup. No question. And that's really all I have to say today about Hound. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you feel so inclined. Reviews will start coming regularly again from this point forward. So please check out the other things I'm working on in the description down below. In that description, you will find a link to my collections video in it. If you see anything that you would like me to review, let me know and I'll see what I can do. This has been Awesome John 22, and I will talk to you guys later.